Your Honor, Vandersloot, under fire from the law and the media, Your Honor's lawyer, Joe Tecopina, has a surprising letter to the U.S. Department of Justice. Writer Prosecutor Karen Janssen writes the Department of Justice. Joe Tecopina joins us from New York. Joe, I'm looking at this letter that Karen Janssen wrote, and I guess it was written in October of this year, or last year?
Of last year, yes.
And I suppose the paragraphs that you're most interested in are the ones where it says, it is also established the fact that up to now no remains have been found, there is no technical evidence of any crime, and the three suspects that were last seen with Natalie do not indicate if they did something to her in spite of very detailed and intensive interrogations. It goes on to say none of the suspects indicate having had sexual intercourse with Natalie on an involuntary basis.
That's it, Greta. You hit the nail on the head, and that's a letter that comes after Your Honor is released from the holding facility in Aruba. And that's important because what's happening again in this case is you know, we've been down this road before. We had that Dr. Phil tape that was, you know, altered evidence that was held out there as the bastion of credibility and something that was going to finally solve this case. And Beth Twitty came on the airwaves and started saying how the case is solved. Well, it's happening again. You know, on this network, unfortunately, on the weekend, Greta, we had an individual named Yassi Mansour come on with this supposedly, as it was promoted on the show, shocking new evidence in December of 2006. What it was, Greta, was a tape of Chief Dompeg, now disposed of Chief Dompeg, talking about how these boys made admissions to him regarding at least sexual assaults of Natalie. It's another falsehood. It's another misstatement of fact. And the reason it's a misstatement of fact is because that tape was taped, Greta, when Your Honor was still in jail in Aruba. This letter from Karen Janssen, which disposes of that notion, comes after Your Honor's release. And again, it says, notwithstanding the fact that the American media indicates otherwise, it should be established that none of the suspects have indicated having sexual intercourse with Natalie against her will. And, you know, it's unfortunate that I'm in the unenviable position to have to do this again, Greta, but we have to rein it in, and that's why this case is in the state it's in today. These false leads, these false rumors, and a guy like Yassi Mansour gets an audience, has the ability to come on here.
Well, that's a separate issue. That's a separate issue from a bungled investigation. That's a separate issue from the bungled investigation. But why? I mean, let me jump ahead a little bit.
Sure.
Recently, your client and the other two wanted to be cleared as suspects under Aruban law.
Right.
And Karen Janssen apparently did some PowerPoint presentation to the court and convinced the judge to keep them as suspects, and I guess they can till May. What's up with that? What was that? Did that presentation, do you know what the content of that was?
Yeah, I spoke to Antonio Carlo about it. It was nothing new. It was more of the same. You know, they were the last people seen with her. Initial misstatements, lies that were made early on. But, you know, there was nothing new at all. And most telling, Karen Janssen did not say in court last week, oh, and by the way, Antonio Carlo, Your Honor's attorney, made admissions to me. That didn't happen either, Greta. And it's another scenario where, again, false reports are coming out regarding things that never happened in this case. But simply means that the investigation is still ongoing, and they have till May, and they want to use up all their time to keep him under the umbrella of suspicion, which is fine. But, you know, there's no evidence against Your Honor at all.
So the reason why you wanted to come on tonight was because there are false statements put out there by others, not here, that says that your client made admissions, and that Karen Janssen's subsequent letter to our Department of Justice says that's simply not true. That's right. That and you know, again, I'm taking issue with people who are getting airtime, like this individual who's provided false documents, forged documents, in this case, this Yassi Mansour, who seems to have the ear of some. No, tell me that, forged documents,
Well, we have here a document that, actually, one of the people who follow this case very closely, especially your show, Diane Vaughn, forwarded to us, which is a document from the Aruban paper El Dario, which is run by this individual named Yassi Mansour, who has a personal vendetta with the Vandersloot family for a long time because Paulus extradited his family from Aruba for drug dealing.
All right, you got 30 seconds, Joe.
And here's what it is. He prints in his newspaper a forged police document that purports to have evidence against Your Honor. It's another scenario, and Karen Janssen and John Kelly had a discussion about this because John Kelly came on your show earlier this year and talked about how she was so upset with this individual. It's eventually got to stop, and again, that's why this case, Greta, is in the state it's in today.
All right, Joe, I know that's the reason why, but anyway, let's just say that it hasn't been solved, that's for sure. We don't know what happened to Natalie. Joe, thank you.
Thanks, Greta.
Coming up, she's the